with community profiles. And today with us we have Minister Gravelle, Minister of Northern Development and Mines. And Minister Gravelle, welcome. And I know that you're in the full swing of a campaign. And how is it going?
Well, I'm working very hard. Election campaigns, I think, require you to get out there and see as many people as you can. That's absolutely what I'm doing, going door to door, canvassing every single day, getting out into the region, of course. Thunder Bay Superior North is a huge riding, going all the way along Lake Superior, well past Marathon into Pick River, up Highway 11 to Geraldton, Long Lac, and Nakina. So I've been on the road a lot, but, certainly using every opportunity I can to get a flavor of what matters to my constituents. As you would imagine, that's what I do all the time anyway, as an MPP and as minister, obviously, over the last term as well. So it's been a very positive feeling to it. It has a positive feeling. People are focused on jobs and the economy. They do want to see things like the four-laning of the highway between Thunder Bay and Nipigon continue, something that our party and Premier Wynne is committed to. She referenced that at the Northern Leaders Debate earlier this week. I'm so pleased to see that commitment in place. 2 more expansion projects that were actually in the budget. We are befuddled why the NDP chose not to support that budget. There were a lot of items in the May 1st budget that, quite frankly, increases to personal support workers and salary, $4 an hour, a number of things that upset us and upset a lot of people, I think, including some of their own supporters. I'm hearing that at the doors. I'm hearing about, our Ring of Fire commitment of $1 billion in terms of infrastructure. But what I can say is that, I certainly work hard every single moment of every day in any election campaign. This is my 6th time at it, and I think in some ways I'm working maybe harder than ever. I love what I'm doing. I feel like I have been a good, strong MPP, been able to deliver some very good things for my riding, but I also recognize that the people in my riding want to see what's planned for the future. I have a great series of plans and a vision for the future, and I hope that I get a chance to continue to represent my constituents after June the 12th.
Well, you have always been fully engaged with your community, and I'm sure you heard about some of for a while there was a little bit of things were slowing down on the Ring of Fire. You mentioned the Ring of Fire, and now there's all kinds of new activities, framework agreement, revenue sharing agreement. Seems like the Aboriginal community is fully on board and things can proceed. Would you like to expand on that?
Well, I think you've actually phrased that and framed it very well, because one of the key elements, which I'd like to think all parties would agree to, including my opponents on the campaign trail, was it was very important that we got this right. In other words, we have this huge $60 billion mineral deposit in a part of the province that's never seen development before, where issues related to the environment are very important. Other issues very, very important to the First Nations were there. So we were very, very keen to make sure that there was a thorough discussion and then a negotiation with the Matawa First Nations, the 9 First Nations who were most directly impacted by the Ring of Fire development. Bob Ray was hired by the Matawa First Nations to work on their behalf, and former Justice Frank Yakibuchi came on to do the job on behalf of the province. And it was a remarkable process of working with the Matawa First Nation chiefs and their elders, and we came to a framework agreement in early April. Premier Wynne was there to be there for the formal signing, which was remarkable. When that point was reached, it then allowed us to continue to do the work that we had been so eager to move on, related to the infrastructure, related to industry. After the framework agreement was signed off, I was able to go to the Minister of Finance and get a commitment of $1 billion for the infrastructure. We are very keen to see the federal government join us in matching those dollars, but we are determined to move ahead, so we are going to move forward whether the feds come with us or not. But certainly I think it's important to still have them supporting this project. But the fact is, we were just positioned with the framework agreement, much more work to do, but with the framework agreement, with the $1 billion, with the Development Corporation being put in place to move forward. And again, for some reason, the New Democrats decided they couldn't support this budget, because that was a big item in the budget, the $1 billion. So we're thrown into an election campaign. Well, fair game. I will be, and I am campaigning hard to make the case that we need to get back to Queen's Park, and certainly I hope I'm able to be in a position to move this forward, because now we are poised pleased to move this project forward in a very, very substantial way, and there is good reason for excitement. We're talking about an extraordinary, transformative project, multi-generational. I describe this as, in terms of the deposit up there, as maybe the greatest discovery of any mineral since the discovery of nickel in the Sudbury Basin about 100 years ago. And we all know what that's meant to the mining sector in northeastern Ontario. And it's going to have a great impact in terms of young people, in terms of opportunities for jobs. And we're working very hard to support training opportunities to get people prepared for the Ring of Fire. So we've done a lot of work. A lot of it's been done more quietly than publicly, but that's, I think, how it needs to be done. And, I'm more than eager to move forward and hoping that, as I say, I get an opportunity to do that after June 12th.
Well, that you have been carrying that message that this is a huge project. It's going to take some time and things are moving along. What other issues are you hearing when you go and talk to people at the doors?
Well, there's no question that it is true about jobs and the economy being important. I mean, we want to be able to continue to find a bright future for our young people. I'm really pleased that, indeed, the construction work that's associated with the four-laning is also bringing lots of work to the community. I think about the importance of our investments in public transit that have essentially helped double the workforce at Bombardier over the last 10 years. So there's no question jobs in the economy are important to people. But I also think there's some very important social aspects as well. And I hear this at the door from nurses, from people who work in the healthcare field. Healthcare still is ultimately the number one issue for people. Issues related to how can we, end the gridlock at Thunder Bay Regional Hospital. We have come up with a very, very substantial plan in that regard. Minister Matthews has provided $15 million to actually help put up a separate unit, a 25-bed unit, to deal with the alternate level of care patients, to help eliminate that challenge we have there. We hear a lot about long-term care, the need for more beds. We are very supportive of that as well. We know that there's a major project going on through St. Joseph's Care Group to build a senior center. We've got the supportive housing unit in place. Healthcare is absolutely crucial to people, and when I go to the doorsteps, aside from people telling me that they're not happy about the budget not being supported because there's so many elements in it. When I go to the door and there's a personal support worker, the people that look after our loved ones, particularly in the community, and we are recognizing that they need to be more fairly compensated for the work they do, and we were in our budget is an increase from $12 an hour to $16 an hour, an increase of $4 an hour, and that's something that I think is really important to recognize the valuable work they do. To see that not being supported was peculiar to us and strange to a lot of people. And I know there's been some backlash from NDP supporters as well. But we are hearing the vision that Kathleen Wynne has, the fact that she views Northern Ontario as a real priority and has made that extremely clear to everyone in Cabinet. She expressed that incredibly strongly at the Northern Leaders debate. I was just actually very proud sitting in the audience while Ms. Horvath was simply throwing out nasty, inaccurate comments and not referencing Northern issues. Premier Wynne was focusing on the Northern issues that matter to all of us, and that's important to me. It's important to my constituents, and I could not be more proud of the fact that I work for a Premier and a leader who is so focused on Northern Ontario and the opportunities we have to improve our infrastructure. Major new fund in place in terms of infrastructure, a long-term infrastructure plan of $29 billion. So I'm perhaps getting a little overly excited, but feeling strong about it.
You mentioned the leaders' debate, and the panel had some really good questions. And one of the questions was about the budget deficit. There was a number of questions that, they were presented, and there was some good responses. But in terms of the deficit and social issues you already talked about, the healthcare was another good one, connecting the grid and the Aboriginal communities. They're all part and parcel of a larger picture that you have elaborated. How about the budget? There seems to be a concern for some people that there's a budget shortfall, but the Premier has mentioned that 2017-18, part of their plan that will be balanced?
Well, we are committed and have an absolute plan moving forward to have the budget balanced by the year 2017-18. As many people will know, Mr. Hudak says he's going to do it a year earlier. And how is he going to do it? He's going to do it by getting rid of 100,000 public servants. He's going to, eliminate the Ministry of Northern Development and Mines and meld it with natural resources. This is a plan of the Conservatives that makes absolutely no sense, even to economists who more very recently showed that it's absolutely full of holes in terms of the actual jobs that he says he would create. Our plan is one that is actually just based on a true balanced responsible approach. We recognize that we need to continue to support the important things to Northerners, and that certainly includes infrastructure, and it includes the healthcare system, it includes education. We cannot afford to have cuts in those areas, and in fact, we need to continue to have strong support, and we need to continue to allow the economy to grow. But we also do recognize that with the tightening of the belt in some areas, we are going to be able to move forward with a balanced budget by 2017-18, and that is very, very important. But it's a plan that we put forward. It's got it charted all the way. Our Finance Minister, Charles Sousa, has made it clear how he will achieve that. And again, I think that is, again, I think what speaks to Northerners. If we start talking about eliminating ministries, start talking about cutting, thousands, if not 100,000 public servants, which could affect healthcare delivery, education delivery, let alone other ministries, that's not on for Northerners, and it shouldn't be. But those who are also concerned about making sure we deal with the deficit, there's a very clear plan in place. I have absolute confidence that indeed we'll reach those goals, and the Minister of Finance is very focused on that.
Great. I mean, we have elaborated on your key points. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we may have missed? I don't think we missed anything, but we're really glad that you were given the opportunity to talk with Community Profiles. Anything else that as a lasting comment for our audience?
If I may, on a more personal note, I mean, I have been an MPP now for 19 years, since 1995. I feel very devoted to the job. I went through a personal health challenge, as many people know, a couple of years ago. I'm diagnosed with cancer, worked my way through it. I am so grateful, one, for the support that I received during that particular time, and the support I continue to receive, but also for the fact that I feel so well now. I feel absolutely re-energized. In many ways, Frank, I feel better than I have in 10 years, but it's also giving me, a real sense of being revitalized about the business that I'm in and the business of politics and being an MPP. To me, it's more like a mission or a vocation. I feel very closely connected to my constituents. You develop relationships over that number of years. You and I are probably a good example of that over the number of years we worked together on a number of projects. There's thousands of others I feel that way about. So I feel re-energized. I want to continue to, I feel very committed to my job, and clearly I believe that I have a very strong vision for the North, and I know that I can execute it if I'm given the opportunity. So I'm hopeful that I will get that chance. People will make a decision on June the 12th, and I will certainly respect that decision, but I am very keen to keep working on to building a much stronger and a prosperous Thunder Bay Superior North, Northwestern Ontario, and Northern Ontario, in fact the whole province of Ontario, and do it under the leadership of someone I consider the most genuine, sensitive and thoughtful leader you could have, someone who understands us as in Northerners in a way that I think is rare, and who is committed to delivering what she says she's going to deliver and is focused on that. So I'm grateful to have a chance to spend some time with you today, and I appreciate Net News Leisure giving me a chance to do this during the campaign.
Well, Minister Gravelle, thank you very much for making the time, and no one can say that you're not committed and enthusiastic about your constituency.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. I enjoyed being interviewed by you.
Thank you. Hello.